All right, this is the Catalyst Effect, and we are live from Austin Tech Week, sponsored by Capital Factory, and I am here with Stephen Laidlaw. You have a really cool product to help property owners, right? Could you tell us a little bit about Stellar?
Yeah, I mean, our mission, or my purpose, is to protect condo owners and HOAs from special assessment. And backstory on that is like 15 years ago, bought my first condo. As a young professional, life is good. I had like a downtown crew. We're going out for dinner. We're watching football on the weekends, walking to work. And then my condo gets hit with a complete building envelope replacement project. Ooh. And I get hit with an $80,000 special assessment.
Wow.
Yeah, $80,000. Did you imagine that?
You personally?
Me personally.
Wow.
Like, I managed to kind of... It was very financially ruinous, but I made it out. I had two friends in the condo that it bankrupted them. They walked their keys down to the bank and foreclosed on their property because they couldn't manage it. So that's my purpose. That's my mission. After that, I kind of vowed to try and prevent what happened to me from happening to other people.
Everybody in my HOA is freaking out right now because they had to do a special assessment for a road fix, and everybody's going to have to put I think $75 or $80 extra in for the year. Wow. And they're all like, "Why did we let this happen?" And so that's
it gets worse. It can
bad.
be worse.
But you're talking about every condo owner in your building had $80,000 hit.
Yeah, it was a smaller condo, so there's only like 10 units in it. But yeah, it was just super underfunded.
Wow.
There was nothing in the reserve, and big project came up. It had to be done, and there was no savings there, so everyone got hit up for, as they call it, special assessment.
We see buildings in Florida that really should have had something like this done, but that building just collapsed and people died because they didn't go in and maintain the building. They didn't do
exactly right.
And
and that's the core, the root cause of that is an underfunded reserve. I mean, structurally there was issues. I think there was a leaky swimming pool that caused structural issues, but they knew about it 4 years prior to it falling down. They knew that the structure was, but they had no money, and so they kept deferring, and they kept getting more engineering studies completed and kicking it down the road further because they didn't have a way to pay for it, and they didn't want to special assess, and then fell down. 98 people died.
All right, so how does Stellar address that? How are you fixing that?
It's kind of a two-phased approach. The one, we have built a software for engineering firms and reserve study providers. It streamlines, adds productivity to their processes to write these studies, write them better, more accurate, faster. And so I sell into engineering firms, and then that data set moves over into a capital operating system. So in the reserve, you have complete inventory of all the commonly owned property, what materials, what, for HVAC, what type of boilers, and then the square footages, the condition, the age, when it's expected to need to be replaced, what it will cost to be replaced when that happens, and then as well, what is the balance in the reserve, and what is the contribution, and how does the next 30 years of contribution and capital replacement look? And so that data set's very powerful, data set, in that now we can move that over and you can start budgeting, managing, predictive forecasting on and resetting that forecast going forward.
You're doing a lot more than just making sure people aren't hit with a special assessment. You're making sure that the building funds are able to maintain the properties, to maintain both the value of the property but also the safety and security of the property.
That's right. And so with those tools, they're tools to be able to identify those shortfalls sooner, and to have also the tools to understand what to do, how when you identify that shortfall, do we increase fees, do we special assess, condo lending, there are lenders out there that will issue a loan to the association or to the condo, which then means you, the owner, don't have to access your personal credit facilities in order to fund that, which is what I had to do when I was
right. You had to go and get a loan
somehow. I had to go get a line to pay for it. So those are the things that it's doing, and so it's this complete capital operating system connecting you into budgeting tools, vendors, lending, and we also we have a superior data set to what most people do, so we also can typically save you money on insurance for the HOA.
So we saw a Facebook groups. Every HOA around here has a Facebook group, and in ours, the HOA was complaining because somebody called the city because something in the road wasn't being maintained, and the city came and said, you have to fix this. And they said, we had budgeted for this in January, but now we have to do it in November, and we're going to put a special assessment on. I think they used the special assessment as punishment for daring to complain to the city about a dangerous roadway. But the money was like allocated for January. They needed 2 months earlier. It doesn't seem like they had to do this special assessment, that they could have gone and done, either had a reserve or funded it a different way for 3 months.
They shouldn't have had to do that. Like part of what our tool does as well is we're looking out 25, 30 years. So it's more like, all right, there's a shortfall this year of $30,000. Instead of special assessing everyone, like, can we defer some non-critical items into next year? Because we can see that, like, we're kind of hitting a zero balance, but then the reserve starts to grow again next year. And so being able to push some projects that are not like structural or critical into future years is a good way to manage that reserve. And now you're not hitting people up for special assessments. You're able to just fund it on fees, and the tool, like, you can just by kind of click of a button, you can now run these little funding simulations as like, hey, if we move this one forward 2 years, maybe it's just like arborist or something like that. Like, our trees won't look quite as nice for 2 years, but at least we won't have to hit everyone up with these special assessments. And then we'll rerun that out and be like, okay, I think we're okay. That should work.
Another thing that I've noticed a lot is you're in an HOA. They have 4 phases of construction. You're living in phase 1 and 2. Phase 3 starts. Concrete trucks are coming in there and tearing up your roads, and they're hitting the landscaping, and they're putting a lot of impact on the infrastructure that's in place. And then the HOA has to carry it because they didn't do anything to ensure that the building companies are paying for the wear and tear that they're creating on the roadways while they're doing the construction. Is that something that you accommodate? Because we've talked to the HOAs. Hey, they're about to do phase 4. They're going to be bringing concrete trucks in here. They're going to be tearing up these rotaries, and it's going to be affecting this just like the last 2 phases did. And they say, well, we don't have any mechanism to account for that.
Our platform's not going to solve that problem. All it can do is be like, okay, we know that this is going to create, I don't know, $200,000 worth of road work repair in the next 1 to 3 years, and so you can apply that new budget that may not have been considered previously and understand how that affects the overall reserve in the next 25 years of the reserve.
Hopefully,
but we don't have anything to be like, take the construction company to task or anything like that. That's kind of.
Well, I guess if they're adding 100 new units, that's 100 new HOA contributors. So I'm guessing it should balance out as long as you have a way to accommodate.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Awesome. Steven, you're in production right now. You're out, you're running, you've got current customers,
Yeah, we have 700 condos or HOAs. That's about 35,000 units that are active on the platform today. They're almost exclusively in Western Canada. That being said, we are very actively trying to enter U.S. markets. I've got a paid pilot going on in kind of the Northeast U.S. right now with an engineering firm, and we're really excited about bringing our product into U.S. markets.
Really necessary, really exciting. Thanks so much, Steven. Great having you on the show here. And this is The Catalyst Effect. We are live at Austin Tech Week. We will be here. We're right outside of the Connector Lounge on the 5th floor. We will be here until Thursday night. So come on and check us out. All right. You clear? I am Isaac Carter, and this is The Catalyst Effect. We are live at Austin Tech Week, presented by Capital Factory. And this week, we are really focusing on the voice of the founder. And I am here with Brock Wagehoft. Brock Wagehoft. Did I say it almost right?
Yeah, you got it pretty close. Brock Wagehoft.
We were talking a little bit. You help founders go from idea and market tested to operational. So you are a fractional COO.
That's correct.
So kind of most founders are a little bit like me. We like to jump from thing to thing, and we like to have ideas and then build a product and then get it out. Next thing you know, you could become a victim of your own success, right?
Right. That's exactly right. So thank you, Isaac, again, for having me on. The way that I describe it is I help a lot of founders who are either going from 0 to 1, go take that next step from 1 to 10. Because those are functionally different companies.
Right.
And the 0 to 1, you're really scrappy. You're not writing things down. It lives in people's head. You're just moving as fast as you can. But then you get to $500,000 revenue, and if it isn't written down, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're chasing back Slack searches all the way back to the founding of the company, trying to figure out where does this live? What engineer who may or not still be here had this piece of information?
Yeah, we worked with a founder that was doing fundraising and for team-based sports. And what he found was you're doing one new fundraiser a day, you're okay. You're doing one at a time. One person can do one at a time. We had 3 fundraisers start on the same day, and all hell broke loose. Because now the founder has to have somebody else do it, and he never did training with anybody. He didn't show them how it works. So if you're doing SaaS and you're having like a multi-user per client and you're onboarding 5 or 6 in a month, normally you're okay. But as soon as you get to a point where you're onboarding 10, 15, 20, and more people have to be involved, and now you need customer service, and the founder can't do it all anymore, it all falls apart.
Right, and that's we see a lot of that, or I see a lot of that, I should say, is when is why startups who are going through these 3 or 5 operational frameworks that they've been using for the whole time now need to teach someone new how to use these when they've never trained anybody on it. They've barely written it down. They're now trying to go through multiple iterations of it and still be quick and scrappy and get the sale through, get the fundraising done, do the marketing thing, right, where they don't have that base to work off to hand to someone. And it also, when we go through that with folks, we see holes in how they think they're doing it versus how they're actually doing it that really do matter when you get down into the minutiae of things.
Yeah, and especially if you have investors involved and you have a beta or pilot customers who have been promised certain features and certain roadmap, and a lot of we were talking about this a little bit before, especially for startups. I think agile is the worst thing that's ever happened for software development, because it very much people say that uncertainty is the cost of doing something novel, and for me, having a framework that allows you to operate in extreme uncertainty is horrible if you also need some form of predictability. And if I'm going to an investor and I'm saying, here's my roadmap, and I'm going to achieve this roadmap, and if I'm going to customers and saying, by the time you need these features, they'll be there, I better be able to fulfill that. And Agile is awesome for a lot of environments, but if I need to know scope, cost, and schedule, it doesn't answer those 3 questions. When we're getting into operations, I need to know those 3 things. Right. What's it going to cost? What am I getting? When am I going to get it? And pretty much in that order, because you have to pay for the things, you have to know that you're delivering value, and you have to meet some sort of timelines.
Right, and everything you just said there is spot on. Is that, well, I am also a proponent of Agile where it works.
Yes.
Right, and in the software space, you kind of have to be. It is the standard operating procedure. But what are all of those predictability assets that are kind of wrapping around your Agile team framework? Yeah. How do you present that predictability to your clients, to your customers, and other stakeholders?
Well, a lot of really big advocates of Agile, they say, well, the customer doesn't know what they want. You know who has been able to look at a market and tell what their needs are for generations? And that's marketing professionals. They can look at a market and they can go to that market and talk to them and observe and then come back and say, this is what their needs are. And then from that, so having a framework to operate in extreme uncertainty is important. Staying in extreme uncertainty is dangerous. So using that framework to drive clarity early and then executing very operationally and reliably in that clarity, that's how you go from idea to growing stable company that's funded and scaling.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I encourage a lot of my clients to do is set up just even OKRs. A lot of them don't even have, they'll say, oh, I have the SMART goal. Well, great, you have the SMART goal. And SMART is a fantastic framework. But just set up an OKR. Can
you define that? It's an acronym.
Month. I'm sorry?
Can you define that acronym for our
SMART. SMART. Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Yeah. And then OKR, now I'm going to have to cut that. But okay, objective key results.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm so used to just saying okay. No, objectives and key results. And really identifying what you want to complete that month is a good starting point. So just more into the starting points for folks is a good starting point of creating predictability is saying, okay, we're all aligning against this goal even 30 days from now so that we're starting to cut the corners off the chaos and building out that circle.
Yeah, and man, a lot of people come and they ask a lot of questions about funding. Mm-hmm. Well, if you want funding, you have to prove that one, you have a audience or market that has a problem that you can solve. And then from there, you have to prove that you can deliver the product, that you can monetize the delivery of the product, and then that you can predict your revenue goals, your operational goals, your budgeting needs. And if you can do those things and you can relatively support what you're saying, you're likely to get funded.
And I'd like to add just one thing to that for what I'm seeing in funding too, is that those who have funding also do a third thing. And it's proved that you are the team to deliver those things.
Yes, why and you?
Why is it you? Because we've already talked about the what and the timing and the now. Yeah. So why you? Why this? Why now? Yeah. And just adding that piece in there is why you. And one of the reasons you could say that why you, because I thought about these things where others haven't.
Yeah. And that's often a big challenge. Is it, in my upcoming book, I talk about know your audience, know their problem, pain, cause, consequence, and urgency. And I haven't covered well the why you. Like, what is your perspective on this? And for me, from my perspective, it's a little bit. The why me is because I'm the one that's talking about it. But for me, I was a data scientist, and I have been doing a lot of data-driven applications and automation. So when I look at a problem, I look at it from a data scientist lens. I have to tell you, there are a lot of problems out there that should not be solved by a data scientist, and those are the ones that I don't touch. But the problems that very much need a methodical and structured solution that's very process-oriented, it makes a lot of sense for me to get involved in that. That could be the why me, but also when I go in to solve a problem, that's the angle, the lens that I'm looking at.
That's the hammer of which you see the nails, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that's a fantastic way of going about it, and just encouraging startups to do that is to understand the hammer of which who are you as the hammer, right?
Yeah.
And understanding in their own self what perspectives and prior experiences, life events have happened in their life that they can tie to this startup, this venture, this problem space, and say, this is why I'm the best. This is the unique perspective that I bring to this space. That's incredibly valuable.
Yeah, and that's really great from a getting funded or getting maybe even getting initial traction perspective. But I've learned that the team that can get the traction has a really hard time. Like, for example, I am a trailblazer. I will build a new thing. You do not want me operating that thing because I will tear it apart and rebuild it 100 times. Once we have something that's working, I need to let go of it or I will destroy it. And I think a lot of people aren't either self-aware about that, or they're not aware of the fact that scaling is a art, a science all its own.
And I think you're right on with that, is that a lot of founders who went 0 to 1 struggle in the 1 to 10 because they try to stay too close to the activities and not on the strategy. And as a CEO, as a COO, as a Pixie Suite strategic thinker at your company, you have to back out of that.
Yeah.
And you have to really take that 10,000, I know that's super cliche, but that 10,000 foot view and say, hey, this is the strategy we want to pursue, and now trust their teams to go perform the activities.
Yeah, Bezos said you have to be very, very strict on the strategy, strict on the vision, but flexible on the details.
And those are fundamentally operational problems.
Yeah.
Is that while implementing strategy is an operational problem, and when they're not strict on the strategy and loose on the details and providing the operational frameworks for their team to excel, they'll never get past 10, right? Or then they'll never get to 10.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people never do. And then people are like, oh man, if Bill Gates had held 100% of Microsoft, he'd be a trillionaire right now. If Bill Gates had held 100% of Microsoft, he would probably be down here hustling with the other founders trying to figure out how to make his next dollar, because every time he brought somebody else in and let a little bit go, Microsoft went to the next level. And that's not always what happens. If you're just giving things away without given the authority and also making sure you have the operational framework to support the new growth, then no, you're not just automatically amassing wealth. But at the same time, if you hold on to everything, if I was sitting here running the cameras and the audio and going out and trying to find the next folks and trying to do everything the way I did in the early days, this would not be a fun experience for anybody, including you. You have to bring people in and empower them and be aware of the fact that they're going to run things differently than you would, and that's a good thing.
Right. And again, running it differently than you doesn't have to be differently than the business, right? If you provide the guardrails, good people do good work. If you trust in your recruitment, right? If you've provided the guardrails, you're going to get thinkers outside of the box, because we all talk about the cliche of thinking outside the box. Yeah. Well, first you must understand what your box is in order to accelerate through that and accelerate through your own plateaus effectively. Yeah.
And the other thing it allows is I'm really big on creating opportunities for people. So we work with a lot of universities and folks in Central America. And so my very first intern came to me. He did an internship. He was at a conference that I spoke at on emerging technologies, and then did a great job in the internship. I hired him. He worked for me for a number of years. And then he came to me and said, Isaac, I have an opportunity. It's more money, but more importantly, it's something I'm passionate about. And for me, you can't replace passion. And I said, buddy, I've been a part of your journey, and I always will be. The time that we've had together, I'm a part of where you are now. But you've got to take it, man. You got to go. And he was leading a team for me. So I turned to the next person in line and said, hey, you're up. You're ready. Step in. Yeah. He trained his replacement on the operating guide that we had put in place. We have our project management is all operationalized. Our requirements are all operationalized. He stepped in, and then the junior, we're like, you're ready for number 2. Roll him up. We created more opportunities for people to move up through the ranks faster with no impact on the business because of those operational guardrails.
And that is just a foundational success story. And we see this all the time. It probably took him 3 to 4 weeks to find his feet, but he was off to the races at day 60, right? We didn't even need to make it to day 90. But without those, it would have taken him months, or potentially having to hire outside of the company to fulfill that same role.
Well, some rules we have is the team lead can't lead all of the meetings. We make him have his mid or his junior lead some of the stand-ups and lead some of the. So we make sure that the
transitionary period of sorts.
No, the whole time. When you bring a junior in, all right, by week 3, that junior is leading a stand-up, they're leading a demo, they're presenting to the client, so that 2 years later, they're ready to be the team lead without that transition period, because they've had that the whole time.
And what you just said there, and how you just said it, is like, okay, at this marker, this activity occurs. At this marker, tells me that you have that structured into your program or into your acceleration pathway, into which tells me that you have a lot of these operational things.
We do. We had to. Well, the other thing that keeps happening for us right now is a new client will come in with a need, and I have to spin a team up in a week. I don't have time to recruit, train, and onboard a technical team leader. So all of my mid-level developers, they're aware of the fact that at any point in time, they could suddenly become a technical team lead. And they need to be able to operate that way. So I tell everybody, you have 3 things that you're working on. 1 is the product that you're building for our customer. 2 is the team that you're building it with. And 3 are the processes. And if you deliver the product on time, but you haven't improved your team and you haven't improved the processes, you failed. Because at any point in time, we need to be able to have the entire team split and not jeopardize anything.
That's a fantastic model. I really love that. I'm going to totally steal it.
It is not copywritten at all. And as you put that in and you need development teams, you know where to get them from.
Oh, absolutely. Brock, there's a lot of good development teams out here today, too. I've seen, I know that you do a lot of nearshoring and LATAM, and I'm seeing a lot of that today.
Blue people are here. We've been competitive, cooperative.
Cooperatively competitive.
First Robotics calls it cooperation.
Cooperation. All right.
In First Robotics, you are working with your competitor to beat the other competitor, so that eventually you can compete against them. If you don't cooperate with your competitor, you'll never succeed. I love that. And the blue people, we've done code launch. They tried to get some of those belts and they didn't. But we've been good friends. They're going to come over and barbecue with us at the campground here later this week. Really, really good people. And I found that when you find good people, stay close to them. You're not actually competing with them. You're competing against the people that can't actually deliver.
So tell somebody, if I have another minute here, tell somebody who isn't familiar with the Austin tech scene. So I was up at Startup Cincinnati. Right? I was up at Startup Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago. I live in Cincinnati with my wife.
Nice.
How do you break into Austin's tech scene? How do you break into Austin's startup scene? What are the good resources? Obviously, this building has been fantastic.
So that's the funny thing is that we're from Dallas. So we are not involved in the Austin tech scene at all. But here's what I've learned about marketing is you consistently show up. You find a channel, a community, and then you participate and become a part of that community. You can't run an ad and expect to get a client from it. It's not going to work. What you do is you find a way to support and engage in that community. So we went to DFW Tech Week, Startup Week, and we interviewed founders. And then we went back after and we found a way to support those founders and continue making sure that they have a path to success. Then we were invited to Austin Tech Week. We're going to be participating in South by Southwest. We're going to go out to Techstars, I believe. We have... My team has kind of a feel on that. But when we first walked in here, we found people that, one, had been watching the podcast, 2, I'd interviewed at DFW Startup Week. It's taken a few years of actually going out, and I'm I study the scripture a lot. Faith is a very important part of my journey. Yeah. And Jesus in his parable said that the one that will be the leader is the one that's willing to serve everyone. So we find a community that has a need, and we find the best way that we can to serve that need. And next thing you know, you become an authority and a leader in that space. So if you go in and say, how do I lead this community? You're immediately going to be an outcast. But if you go in and say, how do I serve this community? The doors just open themselves.
Thank you. I really do appreciate your time on the podcast, and you even called me down here, right? Half the reason I'm down here is to be on this podcast. So I really do.
Oh, Brock, right. You have been talking directly to me. That's right. Awesome. Yeah, I'm going to introduce you to folks. But yeah, I'm glad you're here, and you're going to be moving here soon.
Yes, my wife's headquarters is moving down here to Austin, and we're looking to get ourselves plugged in the run up to it.
So, Becca, Brock and I met by kind of leaving comments on LinkedIn. I believe it was about Charlie Kirk. Yeah, we were talking, and then we PM'd each other and started talking, and I said, hey, come on down to Austin. And you're like, okay, I'm going to jump on a plane and come on down. That's exactly.
Unfortunately, the plane didn't get here until yesterday afternoon, when it should have gotten here yesterday morning, but we eventually got there, right?
Yeah, and that was the very first way that we started engaging with communities. Is I had this policy: get on the bus. So we had a client, Improving Industries, great people. We were doing a code launch event with them, and they said, "Hey, you can ride on the bus if you want to." And I'm like, "Okay, let's get on the bus." And Debbie was with us. She's like, "Where's the bus going?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't care. I didn't ask. They invited us to get on the bus. We're getting on the bus." So when you have an opportunity and you say yes, oh my gosh, that is exactly how you get your first opportunities, but just getting on the bus. And fortunately, the bus dropped us off in a parking lot only 10 minutes away from where we needed to be. So we called it Uber and got the rest of the way there. But now, whenever they have opportunities, they think of the people who said yes when somebody asked them to join. So,
and there's a lot of parallels to that in the startup community, right? It's just say, like, if there's an event going on, or if there's an opportunity to meet other folks, if there's an opportunity to learn and have a good conversation, just say yes and get yourself down there.
Yeah. Yeah, just say yes. Yeah, get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
Awesome, Brock. Thanks so much.
I appreciate your time, and thank you for having me on.
Yeah. Hang on for just a second. So we are live at Austin Tech Week, presented by Capital Factory. This is Catalyst Effect, and we are right outside of the Connector Plus Lounge on the 5th floor if you want to stop on by. And we would really love to hear your voice and have you be part of the Voice of the Founders series. We clear? Awesome. Oh, this is the Catalyst Effect, and we are live at Austin Tech Week. I am Isaac Carter, your host, and Capital Factory's put on an awesome event here. And I met Victor Cruz from TDE. Victor is the CTO, and
correct.
You are building something really cool with holographic.
Yes, it is a holographic interactive AI assistant companion, a device, a hardware.
Oh, that is really cool. Now, you were out just having an adventure on your motorcycle and had a little bit of an incident, right?
Sadly, I had an accident last week on a motorcycle. Going out of Capital Factory, going back home, and
really,
yeah. So there was some debris on the road, in the middle of the road, and unfortunately, I had to embrace it, and yeah.
And you hit a traffic cone?
Yeah, one of the traffic cones.
It's the Austin City mascot, right?
I think so. We're still checking that out, to see what can be done.
Oh, okay. So first I did check to make sure that you were okay and the surgery was successful. And then, of course, I love motorcycles, so I wanted to make sure your bike was okay. What kind of bike was it?
I have a 2018 Road Glide. Davidson.
Nice. Awesome. So the bike, just a little road rash.
Scratch, but it's going to be fun.
And then, of course, you're a co-founder, right? So
yes, I'm a co-founder.
You have your surgery, and a week later, you're back at it.
Yeah, I'm back at it. Coming here to Austin Tech Week, to learn from other founders. We're in a really early stage of a startup, so we're still working on the pitch deck, working on the business model, and building the prototype. So I'm in charge of building the prototype with my other co-founder Miguel. He's on the let me explain you what TDE means, right? So TDE is Technology Design Experience Incorporated, and what we're doing is we're building technology designed to create an experience. Okay. So we are 3 co-founders, me, the Victor on the T on the technology side. Then I have Miguel Yorca in Spain that has the design side. He's an architect, a VFX professional, has worked with many movies and animations, Netflix and animations, and a couple of Oscar-nominated pictures. And then my CEO, Sarah, who is in Dominican Republic right now, she is the experience part. She's the one that glues all together, and she's been doing a lot of digital transformations over the year.
Okay.
So when we combine the 3 of us, we got TDE.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I have been really excited. I've been in automation, predictive analytics. I've done a lot of machine learning, been doing AI for 20 years. And I've always been really excited to see technology and AI elevate the human experience.
Correct.
So not replacing humans, but augmenting the experience so that maybe humans are doing things that they enjoy and is more impactful and less things that are kind of challenging. But you're actually using AI to increase the interaction and the interactive experience for humans.
And one of the things that happened, Isaac, is that most people we have found are afraid of AI.
Yeah.
Because of Hollywood. So people think about AI like those robots that might come over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, I don't want to use that. Like, we're going over there, but yeah, I'm kind of afraid. So when we were working on the idea, it was like, no, like a hologram can harm you, right? Mm-hmm. And we need to find another way to interact with AI because AI is here to stay. And the way we see it is that AI is going to make our lives easier. Why? Because there are a ton of stuff that we do day to day that we hate to do.
Yeah.
We have to do it, but we hate to do it, and that's what you send to the AI, and with a bunch of AI agents is what we're building, so you can offload a lot of the tasks that can be done by AI automation, so you can have the life that you deserve. You have the time to work on the stuff that you really like, and also to have a companion. Like there are multiple people, like older generations, that they don't like technology because it's too complicated. It's like too many buttons. Like let me get the phone, an application to set it up, and then on board, and then like create another user, another password, and go through that stuff. Yeah. And now with the AI capabilities and conversational AI functionalities, we can just talk to it.
Yeah, how many times have you walked into a building and there's nobody at the front desk, and you're like, or Universal Studios, you look in their app. Universal Studios does a good job of telling you when the show times are and what the ride lengths are. Awesome, there's a really cool show coming up. How do I get there?
Right.
And if you don't know, and then you walk up to an employee, hey, where is this? Oh, where is it? You're going to have to go ask somebody else because nobody can do everything.
True, but also like if you have like a multilingual user, that gets another barrier. It's like, we're gonna have like a person on every language, like something like Disney, Universal Studios, where a lot of people go from all over the world. So
my mother-in-law goes down to the Utah DMV to take her test. She does not speak English; she speaks Russian. They're from Ukraine. She's been here for 25 years, but barely speaks English. Right. And so her experience, she had to take the book and translate it into Russian so she could then learn how to do the English parallel. It was a 3-month exercise for her. Somebody who's been licensed in driving in the United States for 25 years. So having
precious time lost.
Yeah. And what if she hadn't been able to get her license? That would have been a challenge. So, no, that's really, really important. We are more integrated than ever, and that's a good thing.
We are.
So having the increased experience and having somebody that not only as an AI assistant has access to the knowledge base, but also the capabilities to
execute tasks.
Yeah.
So you can delegate tasks like check my finances, do my grocery list, and then actually order it on Walmart, on HEB, depending on what you're gonna use, right? And then you can build up those agents and let them know with an orchestration, what's gonna be the sequential thing. Okay, I need to buy some groceries, but in order to do that, I need to know if I have funds available in my bank. And you can create agents that do exactly those tasks, and then orchestrate one to talk to the other, and that way you can do multi-step tasks, complete
And
them.
order of events are typically a terrible way to prioritize work. So imagine you go into a hospital, and I came in first, so I'm number one, and I don't know, I fell down and hurt my knee, and then you're number two, and I don't know, you got into a motorcycle accident. So how do you do things? Well, you triage in order of arrival, but perhaps that's not the right move. Maybe there's trauma levels and things that you can create models to show you how to, if I'm assuming customer service would be a pretty big portion for your customers.
Yes, that's one of the use cases that we explore, for example, restaurants, where you can go and talk to the hologram, and you're talk to Bella, hey, I'm allergic to this type of food, do you have this one available, what is this type of ingredient, this is my type of diet, what you can offer, that type of conversation that you could have with a
And then it
person.
could prioritize work based off of profitability or complexity or something other than party of four arrived first.
Correct.
Awesome.
And then it can be learning, fine tune it to specific knowledge, and then it gets evolves with the knowledge and with you.
So Victor, how did you get here? You're from the Dominican Republic. You're now here in Austin, Texas, working in Capital Factory. You're building hologram AI assistants. How did you go from Dominican Republic to here?
That was an interesting path. So 10 years ago, I decided to move to the United States to, work on tech. I've always loved tech. I'm a software engineer. Had my company in Dominican Republic, and then got the offer to move here with my wife to, have a new life. And back then, I started working at Mobile Iron with software security, cybersecurity, MDM, and endpoint protection, and that gave me the chance to, start working at Silicon Valley, working with the biggest customers in the world, creating the architecture for the device protection for their endpoints. And I worked with Facebook at the time, USPS. It was really small companies, all over the spectrum, Fortune 500 companies. And I like to travel a lot, so I came here. Then I moved to PayPal, where I was heading the cybersecurity team, operations team, where I was in charge of the cryptography and identity for PayPal globally, with a couple of teams there. And that was my journey here. And then later on, took a sabbatical and decided it's time to do my own thing. And here we are. So there was a day that I called Sara and I called Miguel. I was like, hey, it is a hologram. Because we realized that we've been prepping for this for a long time without even knowing. Each one of us have been working on different companies and different projects prepping us for this. Me on the cybersecurity side, so for architecture side, architecting those infrastructures for Fortune 500 companies, and then providing the cybersecurity and encryption, cryptography leadership for PayPal gave me the opportunity to learn from big companies how do you secure data.
Yeah.
And Sara was doing the same. She was doing the digital transformation for many users. She used to work for USAID before it was closed. And then Miguel was in the studio, and he's been working with VFX and avatars and animation for quite some time. And when you put that together, it was like, oh, we have a product.
So making the transition from technologist and from engineer and cybersecurity into CTO, that is a challenging transition because your main responsibility is no longer the code. Your responsibility now is to ensure that you have a product that is capable of meeting your business needs and business goals. So it's a big pivot. How have you experienced that pivot?
Has been a challenge, like as you mentioned, being an engineer, it's like, okay, water under the bridge. This is my thing. I've been doing this for 20 over years. But when I got the opportunity, like to change to CTO, the vision was like, brother, like, okay, now I need to not just do the implementation or the configuration that I used to do. It's like the whole business thing, like meeting the business goals and stuff like that. So what I've been doing is like learning on demand. Yeah. There's a book that was released here at Capital Factory. It's called The Future of No Work, where Philip was saying, like, writing that about lately, with all the knowledge that is out there, with AI, what we need to do is basically learn on demand. And that's what I've been doing, like today I was taking a course on AI agents. Then I was taking a course on pitch with here at the Capital Factory, going to the startup school. Then another day working on the business proposals and the market size. It's been a transition that has been amazing because every day is different. Yeah. Coming from engineering side gives me the strength of like knowing how to big problems to convert them like in multiple small problems, being a troubleshooting, break them down and being able to, as again, like learn on demand, like, okay, I need to work on the cloud infrastructure. Okay, let me go back to what I was doing years ago, like best practices and reading them, like, okay, how can I apply to them? And one of the things that I've been doing is not just creating a company. We're creating a company that's being run by AI agents too. Right. Like I don't have right now still like an engineering team where I can do a product management, like code review, like a DevOps or cloud architect. So what I've been doing is training those AI agents to act as my engineering team and try to prove the concept that we can run the company in a really lean way and see where it goes.
Yeah, so for me, I have a 6-step problem statement that I want to have defined before I write code, before I do anything. I want to know my audience. Mm-hmm. I want to know their problem, pain, cause, consequence, and urgency. I don't solve problems that don't result in pain, that don't have a consequence, and that doesn't have some sort of urgency. Because a lot of times we'll walk in, I'll see a problem, and then I'll talk to the customer, and they'll say, yeah, it's not a big deal. I've got a workaround that works just fine, and learning how to do something new isn't going to help me with that. So I'm not gonna take action on that. And that's where so many 40% of businesses fail because of a lack of product market fit. Well, what that means is you built something that nobody cares about. And then another 40% is because of a lack of execution. You weren't even able to build it. You couldn't. You found a lot of times people found something people care about, but they can't get it done.
Yeah,
and that hugely preventable. Both of those things, as long as you're able to know what is important, where to put your focus, and then how to solve it. So I think Agile is the worst thing that's ever happened to software engineering because it gives you a platform to operate in extreme uncertainty. But operating in extreme uncertainty is the worst risk that you could ever have.
Right.
So I want a platform that allows me to operate in uncertainty, but get to clarity quickly and then act and execute in clarity. Because that's where you literally remove 90% of your risk immediately.
Correct. So, and the fact that when you have like a really small team, like using those methodologies are really good when you have like team 3 and up. But when I am the only on the engineering side, it's like, should I apply those terms, apply those methodologies?
3 and up, even then, no.
Like, it is like, it was slowing me down because I was like, you know what, let me do everything by the book. Let me try to document everything. But at the end of the day, it was like over it was an overkill, for building the prototype, for building our POC, which was the first thing that we did. It was like playing around, like I was coming out from a year-long sabbatical, and I'm like, oh, I need to learn AI. Like everything is moving there. So here in South by Southwest, I had the opportunity to meet with many founders. They were building great stuff with AI. So I was like, what can I do to learn how to get there? And I started playing with the idea of the LLMs, local LLMs, and inference. And that's when we came with the idea of the holographic device.
So what's the stage of development? Where's your company at? You very early pre-prototype, or?
Yes, we're very early. Our company was created and incorporated in May this year.
Okay.
So we spent May doing the company incorporation of the company, getting the validation of the idea, and then I started working right away on the POC. Like, hey, I can see the hologram; it works. Now we need to start working on the prototype, and of course, in the middle of there is like, okay, the idea got validated by Capital Factory mentors, family, friends, other founders, and then it was like, okay, now we need to build a business. So. We started building the business. We started meeting with lawyers so we can. We already submitted our provisional patent, and that took a lot of work. Something that was completely new to all of us. It was like, okay, now what were we doing? Like, how do we do that? So we got some great lawyers from Pillsbury Law that have helped us all the way. Like, we have help with Capital Factory mentors that have coached us into what you need to do. Like it's so different. Like do a software and build the software and architecture. That's something that we do.
So Victor, where do people find you?
On LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Cruz Sid on LinkedIn, and that's about it. I'm not as big social media.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. I hope you recover quickly, my friend.
Thank you, Isaac.
And we are here live at Austin Tech Week in the Capital Factory headquarters. We are right outside of the Connector Lounge, and on the 5th floor. Stop on by, and look forward to giving more of the voice of the founder.